Some months ago I had a letter from a man who stated that he couldn't understand why everybody around him annoyed him. I asked him to come and see me, and in talking with him I discovered that he was constantly rubbing others the wrong way. He did not like himself and was full of self-condemnation. He spoke in a very tense, irritable tone. His acerbity of speech grated on one's nerves. He thought meanly of himself, was highly critical of others. I explained to him that while his unhappy experiences seemed to be with other people, his relationship with them was determined by his thoughts and feelings about himself and them. I elaborated on the fact that if he despises himself, he cannot have goodwill and respect for others. It's impossible, because it is a law of mind that he is always projecting his thoughts and feelings onto his associates and all those around him. That's called projection. He began to realize that as long as he projected feelings of prejudice, ill will, and contempt for others, that is exactly what he would get back, because his world is but an echo of his moods and attitudes. I gave him a mental and spiritual formula which enabled him to overcome his irritation and arrogance. He decided to write consciously the following thoughts in his subconscious mind. Remember, your conscious mind is a pen, and you can write anything you want in your subconscious mind. This is what he wrote. I practice the golden rule from now on. I mean it. Which means that I think, speak, and act towards others, as I wish others to think, speak, and act towards me. I walk serenely on my way, and I am free, for I give freedom to all. I sincerely wish peace, prosperity, and success to all. I am always poised, serene, and calm. The peace of the infinite floods my mind and my whole being. Others appreciate and respect me as I appreciate myself. Life is honoring me greatly, for it has provided for me abundantly. The petty things of life no longer irritate me or annoy me. When fear, worry, doubt, or criticism by others come to me and they knock at my door, faith and goodness, truth and beauty opens the door in my mind. There's no one there. The suggestions and statements of others have no power. I know now how to cure hurt feelings. The only power is in my own thought. When I think God's thoughts, God's power is with my thoughts of good. I know the thoughts of others have no power except the power that I give them. They have to become my thoughts, and then it becomes a movement of my own thought. He affirmed these truths morning, noon, and night, and he committed the whole prayer to memory. He poured into these words life, love, and meaning, and by osmosis these ideas penetrated the layers of his subconscious mind. And he became a changed man. He said to me, I'm learning how to specialize myself out of the law of averages. I'm getting along fine. Have received 2 promotions in the past 2 months. I now know the truth of the passage. I, if I be lifted up, will draw men, all manifestation unto me. Lifted up in your mind. He learned the trouble was within himself. He decided to change his thoughts, feelings, and reactions. Any man can do the same. It takes decision, stick-to-itiveness, a keen desire to transform oneself. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, there is one mind common to all individual men, and every man is an inlet to the same and to all of the same. He also said, he who is admitted to the right of reason is a free man of the whole estate. Begin to realize this. Realize that infinite intelligence, the guiding principle of the universe, is within you. And the infinite healing presence controls all your vital organs and all the processes and functions of your body. You have the capacity to make choices, to use your imagination, and all the other powers of God within you. Your mind is actually God's mind. When you consciously, decisively, and constructively use the infinite power within, you become a free man of the whole estate. Emerson inspires you to enlarge the concept of yourself when he announced this profound truth. What Plato has thought, man may think. What a saint has felt, he may feel. What at any time has fallen any man, he can understand. Who had access to the universal mind is a party to all that is or can be done. For this is the only and sovereign agent. Emerson was America's greatest philosopher and one of the greatest thinkers of all time. He was constantly in tune with the infinite. He urged all men to release the infinite possibilities within them. Emerson taught the dignity and grandeur of man, and pointed out to his listeners that the great appear great to us because we are on our knees, that we attribute greatness to Plato and others because they acted upon what they themselves thought, and not upon what other people believed or what others thought they should think. Begin to have a lofty, noble, and dignified concept of yourself, and the petty things of life will no longer irritate you. If they do, you're emotionally immature, you're suffering from infantilism. That's why people say, why don't you be your age? Why don't you grow up? Are your feathers easily ruffled when someone says, get on the ball, you know, you're behind the 8 ball in your department? Or do you take it in a stride and say, well, he's right, I'm going to have a better showing the next time? Yes, remember what the psalmist said to all men, I have said ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High. And you are. Everyone is a child of the Most High. The infinite is within you. There's the right way to talk, to walk, to drive a car, to bake a cake. There's the right and wrong way to do everything. To live a full and happy life, you must live according to principles. You would not think of building a wheel-off center violating the principle of electricity or chemistry. Likewise, when you think, speak, act, and react from the standpoint of the infinite intelligence within you, you will find that your whole life will be one of joy, happiness, success, and peace of mind. Mrs. Wrongway was jealous and hateful towards the supervisor in her office. Oh, yes, she was suffering from hurt feelings. She had developed ulcers and high blood pressure. However, she became interested in the spiritual principle of forgiveness and goodwill. She realized that she had accumulated many resentful and grudging attitudes, and that these negative and obnoxious thoughts were festering in her subconscious mind. She tried to talk with her supervisor in an effort to straighten matters out, but the woman brushed her off. In a continuing effort to correct the situation, Mrs. Wrongway applied the principles of harmony and goodwill for 10 minutes every morning and night prior to going to work. This is what she did. She affirmed as follows: I surround Mrs. X with harmony, love, peace, joy, and goodwill. Now, this is not mumbo-jumbo. She knew what she was doing and why she was doing it. These thoughts or ideas sink into the subconscious. You know, there's only one subconscious mind, and the other person picks it up. She said, there are harmony, peace, and understanding between us. Whenever I think of Mrs. X, I will say, God's love saturates your mind. A few weeks passed, and Mrs. Wrongway went to San Francisco for a weekend. And boarding the plane, she discovered that the only vacant seat was the one next to her supervisor. She greeted her cordially and received a cordial and loving response. They had a harmonious and joyous time together in San Francisco. They are now attending these lectures on Sunday morning at the Wilshire Ebell Theatre. Infinite intelligence set the stage for the solution of this difficulty in ways that Mrs. Wrongway didn't know, for the ways of your subconscious are past finding out. As the heavens are above the earth, so are its ways above your ways. Mrs. Wrongway's changed thinking had changed everything, including a perfect healing of her ulcers and high blood pressure. She was hurting herself. The other person is not responsible for the way you think, you know, or feel. You are, because you are the only thinker in your universe. And you are responsible for the way you think about your congressman, your senator, or anybody else. The other fellow is not. I recall a young woman saying to me one time, everybody in my office dislikes me. There are several who want me fired. I said to her, why don't you resign and find another position? She said, what's the use? I've had 6 jobs this year so far. This young lady had a brilliant mind, was well educated, and was an outstanding legal secretary. 90% of her problems was in her personality. Did you know that? That 90%, over 90% of all the problems in the factory, in the school, in business, in government, in the home, are not technical. They're man's and woman's inability to get along with others. They're rubbing others the wrong way. Personality conflicts, personality troubles. Over 90% of her problem was in her personality, with the tendencies to blame others, you know. I gave her a spiritual prescription and suggested that she take it regularly, morning and night, for several months. I told her to pray the following prayer for every man and woman in her office every day before she went to work. This is what she did. I send out loving thoughts and feelings of goodwill, happiness, and joy to all those in my office. I affirm, claim, and believe that my relationship with each one of my co-workers will be harmonious, pleasant, and satisfactory. Divine love, harmony, peace, and beauty flow through my thoughts, words, and deeds, and I am constantly releasing the imprisoned splendor within me. I am happy, joyous, and free, bubbling over with enthusiasm, and I rejoice in the goodness of God in the land of the living, and in the innate goodness of all people. Now this is something she reiterated, remained faithful to, and when thoughts of anger, criticism, or being hurt came to her, she would pour forth goodwill upon others. At the end of 2 months, she received a wonderful promotion and was put in complete charge of the entire legal office. For example, a thought comes to you, you'd like to wring somebody's neck. Well, what's to prevent you from saying God's peace fills your soul? Not a thing in the world. Law of substitution. Takes a little practice. Anyone can do it who wants to do it. How much do you want what you want? Do you want to give up your grudges, your hurt feelings, your resentment, antagonism, and get good digestion and normal blood pressure? You have to give up something, you know. A man whom I was interviewing recently said to me, I'm all mixed up and tied up. I can't get along with others. I'm constantly rubbing them the wrong way. This young man was hypersensitive, jittery, self-centered, and crotchety. In spite of all this, he wanted to have good relations with his co-workers and to get along with them in every respect. I explained to him that his present personality represented the sum total of his habitual thinking, training, indoctrination, and emotional atmosphere, plus the sum total of beliefs inculcated upon his mind, but that he could transform himself. I explained to him that infinite indwells him, that all the attributes, potencies, qualities, and aspects of the infinite were lodged in his deeper mind, could be resurrected and expressed in his personal life. I gave him the following prayer for the purpose of transforming his entire personality. You're transformed by the renewal of your mind, you know. He affirmed feelingly and lovingly several times a day, God is the great personality, the one life being expressed through me. God is the infinite life principle within me, and this presence flows through me now. As harmony, joy, peace, love, beauty, and power. I am a channel for the divine, in the same way that a bulb is a channel for electricity. The wholeness, beauty, and perfection of the infinite are constantly being expressed through me. Today I am reborn spiritually. I completely detach myself from my old way of thinking. I bring divine life, love, truth, and beauty into my experience. I consciously feel love for everyone. I radiate it. I exude it. Mentally I say to everyone I contact, I see the divine presence in you. I know you see the divine presence in me. I recognize the qualities of the infinite in everyone. I practice this morning, noon, and night. It is the living part of me. I am reborn spiritually now, because all day long I practice the presence of the infinite. No matter what I am doing, whether I'm walking along the street, shopping, or going about my daily business, whenever my thought wanders away from the infinite, I bring it back to the contemplation of the divine, holy presence. I feel noble, dignified, and godlike. I walk in a high mood, sensing my oneness with the infinite. His peace fills my soul. As this man made a habit of allowing attributes and qualities of the infinite good to flow through his mind, his whole personality underwent a marvelous change, because a personality is the sum total of your thinking, your feeling, your beliefs, your conditioning. He became affable, amiable, urbane, and increased in understanding. He now communicates vibrancy and goodwill wherever he goes. In addition, he's moved up several rungs on the ladder of success in the field of work. Great peace have they who love thy law, and nothing shall offend them. And the law is, I am that which I contemplate. I am that which I feel myself to be. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee, because he trusteth in thee. With your eyes stayed on God, there is no evil on your pathway. Divine love goes before you today and every day, making straight, joyous, glorious, happy your way. Husband and wife were quarreling recently. Both were suffering from hurt pride. Oh, yes. Their egos were deflated, you know. The wife was weeping, had the crying jags, temper tantrums. Both were very angry, glowering at each other, both accusing each other, blaming each other. They had a daughter, aged 6, and she looked at both of them and said, Both of you deserve a good spanking." Both parents laughed. The tension was broken. They had to laugh at themselves, as they were silly. The whole episode was ludicrous and irrational. They were enjoying hurt feelings, you know. This psychic trauma robbed you of vitality, wholeness, beauty, energy, and you can't afford hurt feelings, because they rob you of everything worthwhile. It's the quickest way in the world to get old and wrinkled and sick. It's very expensive medicine. It robs you of everything worthwhile. Robs you of vitality, enthusiasm, energy, good discernment and judgment, leaves you a mental and physical wreck. There are some people who get a morbid pseudo-satisfaction out of playing the martyr role. They say, "If you love me, you would do thus and so." Some say, "Oh, I will be dead and gone, and you'll be sorry for the way you treated me. You're giving me a heart attack. Oh, you're killing me now." This is emotional blackmail. They're trying to get you to do what they want you to do. Certainly they're not interested in your welfare. But they're selfish. They're possessive. They say, "Do what I want you to do." Not the slightest bit interested in your happiness, your peace, your joy. Do you want all your relatives and associates to think the way you do, to believe the way you do, to act the way you wish them to act, to vote the same way, to go to the same church? Well, if you do, you're emotionally immature. It's called infantilism. You haven't grown up. Give your relatives, your grandfather, your grandmother, everybody, give them their freedom. Permit them to believe what they want to believe. If they want to believe in a devil, permit them to believe in it. Let them have their peculiarities, abnormalities, eccentricities, and unconventional ways. There's a wonderful saying, there are 4 words, MYOB, that means mind your own business. They're right, they have the right to do what they think is right. And you have the right to do what you think is right. You're here to do right, think right, act right, and be right. You're here to be a producer. You're here to contribute to the world. What do you produce? Harmony, health, peace, joy, abundance, security. You have no time for criticism, condemnation, or self-pity, or criticism of others, because you're too busy about your own work. You're bringing forth great things. Your success, prosperity, peace, and happiness are not dependent upon what others think, what others do or they don't do, what they say or they don't say, what they think or what they don't think, or what they believe or what they don't believe. The only thing that matters is what you think in your heart. And your heart is your subconscious, meaning as you think and feel, so are you. You're responsible for the way you think. Your relatives aren't. You're responsible for your reactions, your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions. You're the master. You're the king. The suggestions, statements, actions of others have no power to disturb you. You disturb yourself by the movement of your own thought. Therefore, you have the opportunity to curse or bless. If someone calls you a skunk, do you say, "Well, now, wait a minute, am I a skunk? Do I smell like one?" Or you can say, "Sister, you can't disturb me today. God's peace filled your soul," and go on about your business, you see. You refuse to give that person power to give you a headache, a migraine headache, or disturb you emotionally, or cause you to be irrational and make a fool out of yourself, which is maybe what the other person wants. You're too smart for that. Jealousy is cruel as the grave, the Song of Solomon says. Its flashes are flashes of fire amidst vehement flame. Jealous competition plays havoc with men. A jealous person is childish, and he looks that way. Did you ever look at a jealous person, man or woman, in business or profession or in the home life? A jealous man in business is minding and interfering with the other fellow's business. His thought is on the other fellow, his actions when he comes home, the prices in the window, how he's conducting his business and all that. He doesn't seem to have any time for his own business. He's not attending to his own business. He's working for the other fellow all day long. He gets no pay for it. Isn't that a waste of energy and vitality and enthusiasm? It certainly is. You please others best when you give the best that you have. of your talent, your ability, your time, and everything else. Do you think you're blocked by the person you're jealous of? No. Your thought governs you. Your belief governs you. You're a slave to the other person. If there's a woman jealous of another, she feels inferior. She's full of fear. She has a rejection complex. She's placing the other person on a pedestal and saying, you're way up there and I'm down here. She's demoting herself and certainly attracting lack and limitation and impoverishing herself along all lines. It's disastrous. Some time ago I received a letter from a woman in Arizona in which she said that her sister-in-law and mother-in-law disapproved of her, told her bluntly that they preferred her husband's former wife. They never invited her to their homes, but always asked her husband to visit them alone. Furthermore, although she tried her utmost to be nice to them, they criticized her meals, her home, her clothing, and her speech. This woman said that she felt inferior and rejected, and asked me, why do they do this? What's wrong with me? In reply, I pointed out that she'd been suffering unnecessarily and without real warrant, and that she had the power to refuse and to reject the poisonous statements of her in-laws, their rudeness and their incivility. I explained further to her that she did not create her mother-in-law or sister-in-law, and that she was not responsible for their jealous, envious attitudes and complexes. I told her to stop placing them on a pedestal, and to stop being a doormat for them. A doormat is something one walks on. They wipe their feet on it, too. I added that it was quite possible that her charm, graciousness, kindness, and wonderful character annoyed them, and that they probably got a sadistic satisfaction in disturbing her. I suggested that she break off all relations with them and cease abasing herself by toadying to them. I told her that she needed an attitude of self-respect and self-esteem. I gave her the following prayer to be used 3 times a day, where it would sink, of course, into her subconscious mind. I completely surrender my in-laws to God. God made them and sustains them. I radiate love, peace, and goodwill to them. I wish for them all the blessings of life. I'm a child of the Infinite. The Infinite loves me and cares for me. It created me, sustains me. When a negative thought of anger, fear, self-criticism, self-condemnation, and resentment enters into my mind, I immediately supplant it with the thought of the Infinite in the midst of me. I know I have complete dominion over my thoughts and emotions. I am the boss. I am the king over my conceptive realm. I am a channel of the divine. I now redirect all my feelings and emotions along harmonious, constructive lines. I refuse to give power to my in-laws to disturb me, or any man, woman, or child. Only God's ideas enter my mind, bringing me harmony, health, and peace. Whenever I am prone to demean or demote myself, I will boldly affirm, I exalt God in the midst of me. I am one with the Infinite, and one with the Infinite is a majority. If God be for me, who can be against me? She followed the above prayer and carried out the other instructions. So can you do the same thing. She said, thank you for the enclosed prayer. She said, I phoned my in-laws and told them not to visit us at any time, except when my husband and I issued a special invitation. I also told them that I sincerely wished them well, and I meant it. I see now where I made my mistake, and how I was actually handicapping myself by thinking I was inferior to them. The prayer has worked wonders for me, and my husband said to me the other day, honey, you are beaming. What happened to you? I told him. Both of us are grateful. That's the way to handle it. That's the way to cure hurt feelings, because you hurt yourself. Nobody has power to hurt you. You hurt yourself. It's the movement of your own thought. Your thought is the king. Your thought is creative. Is the other person's thought creative? Is your thought creative? Does your belief about you and God govern you, or does the other person's belief govern you? Are you going to be hypnotized, mesmerized, brainwashed, manipulated by your mother-in-law or father-in-law? Or don't you have a mind of your own? Don't you come to your own decisions? Isn't there an infinite intelligence within you, a guide, a counselor? Isn't there something within you that sustains and strengthens you? Surely you don't take your instructions from your in-laws? Some time ago I had a consultation with a salesman. He said he was timid, shy, resentful, looked upon the world as harsh and cruel. Actually, he was trying to escape from taking his rightful dominion over life. He said his wife, his boss's associates didn't appreciate him. They criticized him. He was full of hurt feelings. His children looked down upon him. The cause of all this was this young man had an inner sense of insecurity and inadequacy. He was down on himself. He said, how can I gain the appreciation of others? I gave him a biblical quotation, love thy neighbor as thyself. The real meaning of this text is that your neighbor is yourself. The real self of you is the infinite intelligence within you. Speak thou to him, for he hears, and spirit can meet, closer see than breathing, nearer than hands and feet. Another everyday meaning of the text is to love your neighbor as you love yourself. I explained to this young man the truth about himself and how to love and appreciate himself more, along the following lines. If a man demotes, despises, and deprecates himself, he can't live up or give esteem, goodwill, and respect to others. For it is a cosmic law of mind that man is constantly projecting his thoughts, feelings, and beliefs onto others, and what he sends out comes back to him. If you're mean and cruel to yourself, others are going to be mean and cruel to you. The self of you is God, is your higher self, is the supreme intelligence. Surely you should exalt that and honor it. That's love. That's your neighbor. And love means to be loyal and faithful, give you recognition, veneration to the supreme intelligence within you, not to any created thing. Then you're loving God, which is your neighbor, the closest thing. How could you love the fellow next door except you first loved yourself? Man is the son of the infinite, and all the qualities and powers of the infinite are within him. Man must love and honor the indwelling presence. So love of self is to honor, recognize, exalt, respect, and give your allegiance to the living spirit within you, supreme and omnipotent. The supreme intelligence made you, created you, animates and sustains you. It is the life principle within you. This has nothing to do with egoism, self-aggrandizement, but on the contrary, is a wholesome veneration for the divinity which shapes your ends. The Bible says that your body is a temple of the infinite, that you're here to glorify the infinite. When you honor, respect, and love the self of you, you will automatically love, esteem, and honor others. The salesman listened, and he said, I never heard it explained that way before. I can see clearly what I've been doing. I've been down on myself, and I've been full of prejudices, ill will, and bitterness. And what I've been sending out has reverberated back to me. I've gained a true insight into myself. This salesman practiced affirming the following truths with deep sincerity several times daily, knowing that they would sink down from his conscious to his subconscious mind, and like seeds come forth after their kind. I know that I can give only what I have. From this moment I am going to have a wholesome, reverent, deep respect for my real self, which is the infinite. I am an expression of the infinite. The infinite had need of me where I am, otherwise I would not be here. From this moment forward, I honor, respect, and salute the divinity in all my associates and all people everywhere. I hold the self of every person in veneration, esteem. I am one with the infinite. I am a tremendous success, and I wish for all men what I wish for myself, and I am at peace. This has transformed his life. He's no longer timid, shy, or resentful. He's gone ahead by leaps and bounds. So can you. Learn to love your true self, and then you will learn to love and respect others. What thou seest man, that too become thou must. God if thou seest God, dust if thou seest dust. Love the self of you, which is the I am within you. You're saying I am morning, noon, and night. When you say I am, you're announcing the presence of the living God within you. It's called Om in India. It means being, life, awareness, unconditioned consciousness. It's the self-originating spirit which George spoke about. That's the spirit in you that created you. It's all wise, it knows all and sees all. Surely you should honor that. That's loving your neighbor as yourself.